Hello there folks, this quick video today is going to show you how to set up communications between a Redlion device and a Yaskawa MP3000 motion controller. It's a little bit trickier, so I'm going to make a video on how this is done. So I've currently got a Crimson 3.1 open and nothing in this program at all. Just start with default settings. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Yaskawa software and open up their MotionWorks IEC3 program. Go ahead and use that. And you'll see here that I'm going to open up a pre-built database I have here. And I just call it Wazoo's Test. And over on the side, I'll shrink a bunch of these down. And I'm going to go down here to the global variables. So I'm going to double click on global variables. When you first come in here, the first time that you get in here maybe, the biggest complaint I had was I couldn't see anything here. So these little signs right here will make the font much bigger. I'm going to decrease the system variables tree, and I'm going to go down to some of the Modbus registers tree here and talk about some things in here. Before I do that, I'm going to first set up the communications, and I'm going to use the Launch Hardware Configurators button right here. So I'm opening up this, and what we're going to do here is we're going to use the Modbus TCP method to communicate with the Yaskawa, and the Yaskawa is going to be a Modbus slave. So we're going to want to make sure that we got this button here checked. We're going to make sure we got these checked here as well. Also over here, I've learned from the local Yaskawa guy that all of these are set up normally as a fast task. He's told me to make them all medium task because the fast task will update faster than most HMIs can see. So I'll do that. I'm going to make this retain last state here. Also want to make sure I got a checkbox on this right here, tag import. Since we're talking to Redlion, if you hit the pull down here, we're going to pick the Redlion device. And we're going to be using Crimson 3.0 for our software, or 3.1, but Crimson 3 platform. You want to make sure the location where you store this is somewhere you can find the file, so I've already got that saved here. And this is important here. This is going to be the resource name of the Yaskawa device. We're going to use this within the Crimson software to set this up. So once I get this all configured here, I'm going to go over to this button right here and I'm going to save this configuration to this database. So that saved it. Also, I might point out to you that according to what I'm doing here, I'm assuming that the local IP address of the Yaskawa device is going to be .33 on this subnet. So now if I go back to the Yaskawa software, now that I've done that, I've pre-installed or I've pre-named some variables here under this. This here section here is going to be the coil area in here. This down here will be the input registers. So I've named a few here. I'll talk about this in a second. And I've got a few others here. One thing I want to point out to you is if I go back to the configuration tool here, if you hit the help button right here and go to contents, this will open up the online help manual. And what I found here, if I go to Ethernet communications over here and click on using HMI as a master, which we're doing here, it'll bring up this page. And if I slide down, there's a little bit of a chart here, right here. And let me see if I can make this bigger so you guys can see this because it's pretty small. Anyway, what I want to point out to you that these are the registers here that the Yaskawa device. And if you pay attention to these directions of arrows, that'll tell you kind of what's going on here. So where I originally was playing with this, I was getting confused and thinking these numbers here were mapping to the Modbus, but they're not. And I'll show you where this shows up here in a bit. So if you notice, these are IX here, IBs, Q for outputs, and so forth over to these words here. So this is this documentation that you're looking at here is found within the hardware configuration. Hit the help and go to this manual here. Okay, just want to show where that table is located. So it's in that part there. So if I go back to this software, I've got this in here. Oh, I'll go back to here real quick here. Since I saved this, I want to make sure this name here. Notice it says Wazoo's 1. So what I do here at this point is I'll click on this. I'm going to highlight this name, copy that name Wazoo's 1 here, and then I'll go back to Crimson. And so in Crimson, I'm going to go to the left and go to Communications. Click on Network here. I want to make sure that my local HMI is on the same network, so I'll just pretend it's .20. If I click on protocol 1, I'm going to hit the pick button here, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the listing here and find the Yaskawa manufacturer. And the driver we're going to use for this is the MP3000 IEC series. So then I'll click the OK button. And this name right here, let's see if I get my arrow to work here. This name right here, I need to make this the same name as in the software. So what I'll do is I'll click on this, and I'll click again to where I get the name change, and I'll right click and do paste. Notice it's got the name. I always like to stress, use the enter key to make sure that sticks. And of course, if this is real world, I want to make sure this is 192.168.1.33, enter, because that's what it was over there. Okay, so that takes care of setting up the communication side. Now I'll go back to Crimson, back to Yaskawa software, and I've got all these tags in here that I want to import into Crimson. So you can see I've got some output ones here, inputs, I've got some here, and also down here. I'll talk about this in a second, but let me go hit this button right here. This button right here will export this listing as a CSV file that I can import into Crimson. So I'm going to click this button here. It generated a tag name. I'll say OK. Now that I've done that, I'll go back to Crimson. And if I go over here to the left, go to data tags on the left, I'm at the top menu here, data tags, because in here, I can click this button here that says import or export tags. Actually, import tags. So I want to import them in. So if I click on this button, I was already playing here, so it's already in this directory, but it's a CSV file. So down here, change this to CSV, and you can see here's the listing. Today's the October 9th. So I'll click here, click open. And this gives you this little warning, no big deal. I'll click yes. And you can see, team, that it automatically brought in all those tags mapped to the Wazoo device. Okay. Now, all of these, if I click on input 0 or output 0, hit the pick button, you can see that it goes to the Q or the MB coils here. That should be okay. From my original testing, I wonder if you should do it here. But anyway, we were testing this. I think this will work. This here goes to the inputs, MBs, that's fine. Where things get a little bit different is down here on these registers we found. This here, AI3, in my testing the other day, we found that we need to move these to the QDM registers here, these QDMs right here. So I'm going to move this down so you can see this number here, 3001. I'll click OK. The next one, if I click on this guy, see how it says 3002? I'll hit the pick button and I'll make sure this goes to the QDM, but I need to change this to number 2 here. Click OK, and that'll do that. And then the real ones, these here, these particular ones, if I hit pick, these we found map to the MDM real holding registers down here. Notice real is real. I'll just pull this aside. 40,001. Kind of see it here. I'll click OK. And then if I click the next one, hit the pick button, it's going to go again to the MDM, but I'll slide this down. It starts number 3 because it's the other one's a word or a real, so it's 2 consecutive words. So that takes care of setting up those tags and then so forth. No big deal. I did want to show you a shortcut here. I was playing around with this. Local Yaskawa guy was showing me a trick here. So he was saying, let's say you had a bunch in here of these, and notice these numbers. This is what threw me for a loop. We were thinking these were all holding registers, but they're not. They're actually internal registers in the Yaskawa, and then Yaskawa maps them over to the appropriate Modbus register. So if I wanted to, for instance, let me shrink this down. Let's say that I wanted to insert a bunch more here in the reel. Notice this number here is 28 and 32. Everything in Yaskawa is byte aligned. So 2 bytes make a word. So the next one here would be 29. The next one would be 31 and 32. So that's why this one starts at 32. If I wanted to mass produce a bunch in here, let me show you a trick I learned. If I take these 2 guys, and I'll copy these guys, these 2 names right here, and I'll go over to Excel, for instance, and I'll paste them in Excel. And now that I've got them pasted in Excel, if I highlight both of these cubes like this, I can take this number and I can drag it down like that, so I get real like that. And then I'm going to copy these. Oops. So I'm going to copy here, and I'll go back here to my Crimson. I'm sorry, back to the Yaskawa software, and I'm going to attempt to insert here. Let's see if I can figure this out again. Paste. Yep, say yes. All right, so you see it pasted a bunch in here. Let me go. I got a couple errors because I don't have the mapping, so let's not worry about that quite yet. However, if I click on this first one here, I'm going to take this number here, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to copy that number. I'm going to go back over to this guy, and I'll just put a column right here. Paste here. Oops. Paste. I didn't want to do that one. It's still got the other one, so hold on, let me delete these. Let me go back to Yaskawa here. Try this again. I'm going to copy this field, copy it, go back to here, click here, paste. There's that number. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see the whole thing. I'll paste another one here, like this. However, this next number is actually 28, 29, 30, 31. This one's actually going to be 32 here, like so. So now if I take both of these, highlight both of them, and take this here, it'll automatically increase the number for me, which is pretty nice. So now I'll copy that column, and I'll go back to the Yaskawa software, and I'm going to go ahead and insert right here, paste. That puts all those in right there. The problem is that this column here, these are all going to be reals here, so let me see if I can figure out how to copy that right here. Let's see this, get rid of this guy here, he's causing a problem. So okay, so we got that. If I can copy this, can I copy this column? And highlight all these, paste. Oh, perfect. Okay. So what's wrong with these two guys here? Oh, I got duplicate here. That's the dilemma here. So let's get rid of this one. Delete this guy. Okay, everything looks good here. Only one missing is this guy right here. So did I forget one here? 56. Oops, sorry. Go back to here. I just noticed something here. I'm off here. These should go up by 4, 32. That looks good. 56. Let me look at my table over here. 28. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to escape, highlight this whole column again, copy, and I'll go back to Yaskawa. I'm going to try to paste right here. Let's see what happens with paste. There we go. Okay. Notice we don't have any errors. Looks pretty good from here. I'm going to go to the build, rebuild project. Should roll through here. No errors. We get some warnings only because I don't have anything in my worksheet. That's okay. And then I'm going to hit the export listing here again. I'm looking for these new reels to show up. So I'll hit the export right here. Export is good. I'll go back to Crimson. And if I want to re-input this new list, I'll just click up here on data tags. I'm going to hit the import tag button here. Once again, change this to the CSV. Click here. Hit open. And we'll say yes. And now we should have all of those new reels down here. And of course, the only trick we got to do here is we got to re-link them to the MDMs here. But we'll go through this list here right there. We'll make that one there. This guy's got to go to number 3. So we'll go here. Do that, and so forth. And just go down the list. And that should fix them all up for you, making sure they go to the MDM registers. So anyway, that's just a quick video on how to set up comms from the Yaskawa to the device. I guess one more thing you can do for testing. The way I always test this team is I go over here and I just come down here and highlight all my tags like this, and then I just drag them on a page, make it wider, and then go ahead and download it and see if you get dash lines or if you get the correct value. That's what you do for testing. Anyway, thanks a lot. Have a great day.